Hello and welcome back to the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Chong. Chloe, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Chloe, obviously. I'm 16 years old and I raced this year in the F1 Academy with Prima Racing.
So, when did you know that you wanted to be a racing driver?
I think it probably takes me back about 12 years to when I was about 4, and I just remember like having my first memory of watching cars go around was on the TV with Formula One. I was with my dad, and I just started to grow a passion of watching the races. He gets very excited when he watches, so automatically that goes to me. And yeah, I think it was by the time of like 5 where I was, asking him, begging him to go and have a go in a go-kart because I really wanted to grow up and I looked up to Lewis so much. So yeah, that's how it all started.
I assume that you've seen the vile comments on F1 Academy's Instagram and then when they've done like collab posts with F1. How do you deal with those types of comments?
To be honest, I don't really read them. Like, I don't take much notice. I think there's so much support out there, and that definitely like outweighs the negative comments, like 98-2. So I think with those sorts of things, you kind of think, well, they're not in our shoes. They don't know what's going on behind the scenes. They wouldn't be able to basically, do what we're doing in it. Like, I think it's just, thinking about yourself, being a bit selfish at sometimes. It's just, you're fully focused on the sport, fully focused on the goal ahead. And yeah, I think nothing like that really bothers me that much.
So you have a pretty big social following. Would you say that having a big following is vital for 21st century racing drivers?
I think having a big following like isn't a goal of mine. It's really nice to have so much support, and I really, I'm so grateful for everyone there backing me. Obviously, in racing, it's a lot about sponsorship, trying to get money together to be able to race every time. So having a bigger social following definitely helps from a marketing perspective, but also, yeah, it helps feel like there's a family behind you and someone that you can share everything with. And yeah, I really like my followers, and I really enjoy communicating and chatting with them as well.
What's the most memorable race that you've ever A, raced in and B, watched?
Raced in is definitely Kota for sure, like 100%. I mean, if it wasn't Kota, then it would be Red Bull Ring because it was my first race. But yeah, going to the F1 it is a once in a lifetime experience. I've never been before, even as a spectator. So I think that was a very special weekend for me, and obviously the results made it 10 times better as well. And then even like watching wise, I'd say Kota still, because I've never actually watched another sort of race. Like, Kota was the first race where I was sitting down as a spectator and kind of being a fan. So yeah, I think I'd say that weekend just goes down hands in heart, like the best weekend that I've had so far in my racing career.
How important was having the final F1 Academy round broadcast?
I think it's a big step forward. Having the rest of the rounds not broadcast, there was definitely a lot of people saying, why isn't it broadcast? Why can't we see you guys? And I think it would have been nice to have that, but automatically we wanted, I guess F1 Academy wanted to focus their resources towards our testing time, our driver development. And I think, that's the trade-off we've got to make if we want to be better drivers. So for me, it wasn't that much of an issue, but I think it would have been nice for you guys to be able to watch this race, because actually some of the races there were very exciting, definitely, especially Monza, I would say.
You mentioned that Red Bull Ring was your first race. How did you find the transition from karts to cars? Were there many similarities?
I would say that it was probably the biggest step up that I've ever felt. Going into a car, first of all, I feel like what's really beneficial is if you have a sim. And unfortunately, we didn't have a sim until the second last round of this year. So it was so much adjustment, getting used to the different feeling, because I'd never actually like experienced it. I didn't know any of the tracks, and it was just so much to get my head around. I remember like literally being so mentally tired. I wasn't even like, like physically tired. I was just so mentally exhausted from learning so much in such little time that I would be like sleeping as much as I could in between sessions because I was literally just so tired. But going into the first round, I remember just, still learning, still not really knowing much about what to do with the car. And yeah, the aim was just to go out there and learn the track. So I think it was definitely a lot of differences and a big step for me, which is why there was no pressure on this first season, especially on myself, because I knew that competing against girls that were so experienced, it wasn't realistic to basically be thinking that we could be, you know, beating those sorts of drivers when we still have quite limited testing, and even after this year we still have had really limited track time, to be honest.
You said about the sim. Do you think, like, okay, for context, I went to the Formula E in London last year and I went on the sim. Let's just say it was not stunning. It was vile. It was horrid. Do you think, you know, the sim does it? Do you think it like really helps you? Because I don't know, it just didn't feel like I was actually driving, if that makes sense.
I mean, I think that with sims there's a lot of variability. So, for example, you can be driving a sim that's made for esports, which will definitely not feel that realistic. Whilst something that I use would is basically engineered to be the most realistic and are not meant for, I guess, finding, you know, the best lap time. Because for me, I'm not on the sim every weekend racing with friends trying to be the fastest or competing in a league or something. I'm more there to develop myself as a driver and get a real feeling for the car. So I guess what we do is we try to engineer with a sim company the most realistic feeling possible, and then we keep it like that. And yeah, I think having something really realistic definitely helps. And I mean, you can literally see from results in Kota how much it helps, because I'd never been there before the testing, and yeah, the pace was quite strong, I think, during that weekend.
I think I already know the answer to this one, but which was your favorite track to drive at?
My favorite track to drive at, like, I think flow wise, I would say is Red Bull Ring. But then my favorite track just overall would be Kota, just because of everything put together, the experience, driving with F1. I don't know. It's like driving in the F1 game, like, because we had all the sponsorship logos everywhere, and it was crazy. It just felt like everything was so perfect, and yeah, I think that experience just can't get beaten by anything else, can it?
Are your suits, your boots, and your gloves provided by the team, sponsors, or are they self-funded?
I think, yeah, I think the team actually got us like quite a bit of kit, because we have a team sponsor, Sparko. So we got like the kit bag, we got a couple suits, we got 3 sets of like underwear, which was quite a bit, because I had no racing gear before that. Like, I remember while they were trying to make all of my stuff, like the custom stuff, they had to get me another suit to wear in the meantime, which was quite nice. So now I have an extra suit too. But yeah, it was quite nice to get like personalized equipment and stuff, which is lovely. And yeah, the team helps us out with that one.
Um, is the car setup based on telemetry, or is there a basic track setup?
Okay, I'm no engineer. I'll just start off with saying that, so no one's on my back for saying something wrong. But I think we always have a baseline setup. So we go to a new track, we'll have a baseline setup, or we'll have a look at like how the track is, and basically we'll have a standardized setup for, let's say, a high speed track with low speed corners, or high speed corner track. And then from there, we'll basically go out on the session and give feedback, and we'll try to basically optimize our setup just little bits, because normally with the F4 car there's not a lot to adjust. So but basically when we're out on track, it's just those small minor adjustments that can give us maybe a tenth. So yeah, I think it's more based off of a baseline setup, you could say.
How do you balance school life and racing?
I wouldn't say I balance it. I'll say I'm kind of teetering on the edge of, of everything. Obviously, like, because I'm pursuing a full-time sport and I'm still school age, it's a trade-off. Like, we knew that from the beginning of this year, that there's priorities here, and for me it's going to be the racing. So what we've done is basically put all of myself into racing. You know, if I have to travel to go somewhere and I have to travel non-stop, then so be it. It's all to get the best out of myself, and then with whatever time's left, I really try hard to, you know, meet up with mates, meet up with friends, try to spend as much time as I can with my family. And in between all of that, of course, fit the schooling and the training in as well.
Fair enough. Do you think having Bianca and Marta as teammates who've both got previous single-seater experience helped to boost your confidence, and did they mentor you at all?
I think it was excellent to have Bianca and Marta as teammates, not only because they were amazing, people, but also because they had such a mixed difference of experience. Like we all had such different levels of experience. We all came from different backgrounds, and I think that just brought us all together really. Like Bianca, obviously coming from not such, I guess, a strong karting background, coming into cars, and she struggled a bit last year, so she obviously knew what it felt like to have not that much track time. So she definitely helps me quite a bit. And of course, with the social media side of things, she's been excellent. And Marta also is excellent. She's much older than me, but it means that she's kind of like a really older sister than me. And yeah, she spent a lot of time with me because we were staying a lot together in Italy. And yeah, during the tracks, the weekends, obviously she had a struggle as well in her first year of cars. I think it's a recurring thing, and also probably a reason why we don't see much girls go further up in sports, because we take a little bit more time to get adjusted to a different thing. And I don't think that's to say that we're not as good, but it means that we just take a little bit longer to get to our full potential. So they both really helped me. I mean, they're not like coaching me constantly, but it's all that this life, sort of advice, and we get to spend time together and have fun as well. So it makes a really lovely bond for us. And I think, to be honest, we're probably the strongest teammate friendship, I think, of the whole paddock. Like we're still talking to each other off the track, and yeah, I think most of our good times happen off the track as well.
It's interesting you mentioned that. I was watching, was it the Finish the Lyrics challenge up from Prema, and you did it with Daniel Kvyat and Dorian Pin? I'm like the biggest Daniel Kvyat fan, so I would have been freaking out so badly. But it like the relationship between all of the Prema's drivers really comes through from those YouTube videos. And like I've spoken to Kimi Antonelli, Conrad Lawson, and they've all said that at Prema there's like a massive family kind of feel.
Yeah, it's definitely a different vibe to a lot of teams. Like every team that I've been to is very, I guess, you're kind of by yourself, you're in your own zone. But with Prema, yes, we're separated a lot from other teams, but within the team, you feel very close to the people that you work with, and it's very important that you get along with them and start to, what's it called, bond with them, because that's how the team gets the best out of us, basically.
So we mentioned Bianca before, and obviously Macau Grand Prix, she's got Anastasia Beverly Hills as one of her sponsors. Do you think that more makeup brands / clothing brands, this is also inspired because I was looking on H&M yesterday for Christmas presents. Do you think that more makeup brands or clothing brands should look into sponsoring up and coming women in motorsports?
I think definitely, I think motorsport's a very good advertising platform, and as we see women becoming more prominent in the sport, and actually we're probably more powerful marketing tools than our male counterparts. I think it's I think it's looking very strong for the future. Bianca's doing a great job, so she's leading the way for us, and hopefully in the next few years we'll see a lot more movement within this industry. And I think I don't see any reason why not. Maybe Tarte Cosmetics or Lancome can come sponsor me. We'll see.
We can like wear the clothes, and obviously Lewis Hamilton and Zhou Guanyu are quite big for this. And like we can, like, okay, I don't race, obviously, but you can model for them, and yeah.
I think there's a lot of potential there. It's just about companies being willing to pursue that option, I think.
What is the worst part about traveling to international races?
If you're talking about long haul, then it's the jet lag. I think that's the number one thing that sticks out. I mean, it's not too bad for me, but I know for my dad, it's definitely quite bad for him, and I'm sure for some drivers they find it hard to adjust. But I'd say like for this year, in like what specifically comes to my mind is probably just the nature of non-stop traveling, literally living out of a suitcase. I think it just sometimes is a bit too much because you just want to settle down for a bit, but then you're like going here and there and kind of traveling every 3 days. So it definitely makes me feel more grateful for my time at home and having a couple weeks off now.
What do you think of the 2024 F1 Academy calendar? Obviously, some races, most of them, are much further afield.
Yeah, I think it really broadens the reach of the series. I think it's going to look quite exciting. It's definitely going to, turn some heads, I think, and hopefully bring us onto the global stage, because right now it's been quite European based. And of course, we went to America and it was just amazing, all the reception. So really looking forward to seeing the series race in Singapore, Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, and Abu Dhabi to finish all off. It sounds very strong and very exciting. So fingers crossed, and let's see what happens.
How do you prepare mentally for a race?
For a race in specific, there's I think a lot of it's to do with routine. Obviously, mental preparation happens months and months in advance of a season. It's an ongoing thing, even in your normal life. But before a race, the main thing is to make a routine for yourself. I figured that out about halfway through the year. One of my coaches, Bart Horston, really helped basically put it together, put it through my mind that creating that routine would help normalize everything and kind of just bring down the nerves. So along with that, Sarah Bovey, who's also coached me this year, really put forward the idea of like visualization. So basically just getting into the car, slowing down your heart rate, and basically going out on track in your head before you actually go on track. And I think that's something that's really helps me, and something that I utilize to calm myself down and keep cool basically while I'm racing. But actually I find when I'm on track, and this is pretty different for other drivers, but I think one of my strengths is that as soon as I'm on track, everything just shuts off around me. Like, I don't really feel pressure. I definitely get the nerves before, like you'll see me like pacing around before I get into the car. But as soon as I've got the engine on, I've turned on the car, I don't feel anything. And I think that's probably a strength of mine.
So let's move on to the fan questions. At Jordan.Crefield says, what is the biggest thing you've had to overcome to better your driving skills?
Definitely the mental strength is a massive thing. Starting this year, of course, I was probably a completely different person. I was quite shy and still a bit bit younger feeling. And I think the main lesson for me was that I have to grow up very quickly in this world, working with adults and everything, and working with older teammates. It's all about maturity and professionalism. So I'd say that, alongside basically being able to put away, I guess, worries, or put away stuff that's happened in the past mentally, and not worry about it while I'm on track. Because even though I don't feel so-called like pressure or nerves when I'm on track, sometimes there's thoughts that come into your head, like you think of a specific time where you might have messed up on track, and then you kind of dwell on it. And I think that's something that I struggled with quite a lot this year, and something that I'm really proud to see, basically all the progress that we've made until Kota. So it's definitely a lot of mental games in racing, just because it's about how you interact with the car and your inputs and how smooth you are. But I think that's part of the fun of the sport, and it's part of bettering yourself. So I'm really enjoying the journey so far mentally.
Ilya_Veden says, do you think it's important to split other formulas and F1 Academy?
I think F1 Academy is where it should be. There's Formula 2, Formula 3, but I think it's very crucial that girls, race with guys to be able to develop. It's something that's very crucial in my development, is that I would love to race with guys in a series for a year, because I think it would really, help me I guess, gain more confidence with the car and basically be thrown into the deep end to compete against some very strong competition. So I think having Formula One Academy at the F4 level is very crucial, because it's just the start of the journey. So girls can go from karting to the series to basically it's just a jest. And then I think it's very important that we move on to all male series or mixed gender series, so that we can get a proper experience and feel equal and hopefully go and beat some guys as well.
Would you like consider like GB4, which is the old spec F4 cars, isn't it? Or like Formula Regional or a different F4 series? Do you think one of those, like, which one would you rather go to?
Yeah, so I think, there's a lot of good options. All F4 series are very good at like building key skills. We've definitely been looking at several of the series to see like whether it would be useful to me. I think something that sticks out to me is that F1 Academy is always traveling with these F1 races, so it's quite rare to see rain or mixed conditions, just because we go normally at an optimal time of the year in the country. So I think maybe racing in the UK could be quite fun, and something that would help me with my adapting skills to different weather conditions. And I think that's very important and something that I want to build on, definitely.
Yeah, I went to the Donington decider for the British GT. Um, they couldn't do Friday testing because it flooded.
Classic British weather, isn't it?
It was so cold, so rainy, and it was quite fun actually, to be honest.
You're a loyal fan.
Yes, whilst I was dying of hypothermia in Derbyshire. Um, who is your favourite F1 Academy? I assume you can say yourself, and F1 driver. Oh,
I mean,
that's It's Tiring's question.
okay. F1 Academy. I would say that like I really like talking to everyone, like especially in Kota, because we basically shared hospitality. We really bonded with a lot of drivers, and we were able to communicate a lot more, because before then it was kind of we were kind of isolated as a team, I think, for all of us. Um, and I don't want to sound weird, but I would say that I don't really have anyone that like I favor in particular. I think my teammates are probably number one. But honestly, when I'm at the track, I'm focusing on myself and my own performance. I do like to spend time off track with mates and with my teammates and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's more about my own focus and I know it sounds quite self-centered, but it is myself, and it's all about trying to better yourself during those days. So full focus is on myself. In terms of F1, I think just because I grew up watching a lot of Lewis, it's got to be Lewis, and he obviously got me into the sport. So I think it stays that way. Yeah, I think he's been very inspirational and helpful for women coming into the sport, and he's done a lot to increase diversity, so hats off to him, really.
Ricky_karting says, what is your favourite karting track in the world?
I haven't been to too many karting tracks. I'll put that right out there. Obviously, to race in Europe is a lot of money, so it wasn't really on our radar that much. I mean, we went a couple times, but it was just funding wise, it was quite difficult. I would say in the UK, I would really enjoy racing at Wilton Mill, notably in the rain. I know that sounds really weird, but I love a wet track. As well as Rissington. I think they are tracks that I really enjoy. In Europe, I've been to a couple, I think, and I'm trying to think of one that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed a track in Germany called Mulsanne. It's quite unique. It's more similar to a UK track, but yeah, it was definitely the most unique track that I've raced at. But I think that's the tracks that I can think of right now.
Evie Singh says, what do you have to say to young girls starting their motorsport journey?
I think the main thing is just to focus on yourself, focus on your own progress. Don't look at the timesheet and look at who's on top and where you are, because everyone's got different experience at the end of the day. I mean, if you look at my season this year, it's been quite up and down, but that's because I'm the least experienced. I mean, statistically, I should be finishing last. So I think, yeah, focus on yourself, focus on your own improvement, make little gains. Don't try to, pull something out of the bag straight away, because it's not going to happen unless you're like 1 in a billion, which is quite difficult. But to be a decent driver, I think the main thing is just, full focus on your own goals, and you'll get there one day with if you just keep pushing, keep training, putting everything into it. I think there's no reason why you shouldn't make it.
Finding Arshiu, I think I've said that wrong, says, how do you think girls can pursue racing later in life, so teenage and up?
I think there's so many pathways into racing. Obviously, a lot of it is financially dependent on whether you can, I guess, get the funding. But if you're starting like 13, 14 years old, I don't see any reason why not. Why not really? Jamie Chadwick started at the age of 13 in karting, and I think as long as you're, as I said earlier, like pushing and basically, putting everything into it, I don't see any reason why, it shouldn't work out for you guys.
Abby K says, how do you actually get into F1 Academy? By this, I assume they mean, like, do you contact teams? Do they contact you?
I mean, it's a bit of both, to be honest. Last year was a bit difficult because there wasn't a lot of information on the series. The main thing is to have a good karting CV built up, or car racing CV built up. I think it's unwise to go to an F1 Academy team without any experience. So definitely, put a few years into it, try to improve yourself as much as possible. And then, when it comes around to I guess, finding a team, you just email them or find a phone number that's probably more easy to phone in. Obviously, they'll want to know about your background, what experience you have, and I guess results as well. And I think for me, it was more like, sure, I called them, but I had no experience in cars, so they were kind of like, well, you need to go and improve first. And then in February, because we did the FIA Women in Motorsport Rising Stars program, they were quite impressed with our results, and invited us to have a seat at Prima. So I guess it's all about impressing at the right moments and being in the right place at the right time.
Addy Pierce 24 says, what does it feel like / mean to you, knowing that you're inspiring so many young girls?
It's truly amazing. Like, when I first started with this year, I never thought that I would be able to build such a big, I guess, platform for girls and young people alike to kind of spread their message and to kind of get advice. I feel quite honoured to be one of these first girls in F1 Academy, one of these first girls pioneering women in motorsport. And I've received so many kind messages, and it means honestly the world to me. Like, I probably say this quite a bit, but I'm just so grateful, because without that, like, honestly, like, tough times would be a lot harder. And I think you guys pushed me through all those tough times, as well as, push me on when I'm at my best. So I mean, thank everyone for being there for me and growing such a really inspiring and amazing group of people within my platform.
I have no idea how to pronounce this next name. I'm going to say it's I Made Biscuits for Me. What are your long-term and what are your short-term goals?
So I'll start with short-term goals, because I think that's more easy for me to think about. I'd say short-term, I just want to get as much experience as possible. We're looking into plans for next year. Obviously, there's so many options out there. There's different places that we can go. A lot of it is about finding funding, but I think my main priority, and I've made this very clear, is development. I think with development, we'll see results. Like, even with such limited testing this year, we've been able to produce some really good results, really good pace. So I think with a year of development, we can be one of the top girls in the world, hopefully. And I think it looks very positive in that perspective. In terms of a long-term goal, I don't really like saying anything particular, because I think it's all quite dependent on what happens in these next few years in terms of development, as I said. But my wish, my dream is to become a professional driver in Formula One. I think, being at my age, being one of the younger girls in the paddock, it's very, very much possible for me once I get the right development. And yeah, if that doesn't happen, then I'm here to stay, and I'd love to keep pushing for a career in motorsport, whether it be in GTs or endurance. So I'm really looking forward to the future, because I know that I'll put everything into it and come back stronger from I guess, bad points, and be at the top at the end of the day. So that's my long-term goal. But also in the back of my head, there's always our mission, which is to bring more girls into sport, to increase diversity, to, I guess, not only in sport but also in other industries. My mum is actually in finance, and it's a very, very male-dominated industry, so we share quite similar parallels, and I think she's really inspired me to kind of pursue also that path of trying to bring more girls and get them to do what they want to do, because I don't think gender should be something holding you back. And in fact, sometimes girls do stuff better. So I think that's very important to me, and something that I want to do with my future as well.
Ferrari Lit Crew brackets Nina says, what was your least favourite race this year?
I'd say Zandvoort, 100%. Not because I didn't like the track, and not because I didn't like the food, because the food was probably one of the best out of the whole race season. But it was honestly my lack of preparation. Like, came into the season basically knowing 3 weeks before I jumped into the car that I'd be driving, had no physical training, no sim time. I just literally had no idea what I was doing. And I got to that mid part of the season still, because it was such a fast moving season. We had like 2 weekends together, and then it was like every 2 weeks. So I got to Zandvoort, and Zandvoort's notoriously very physical. I got there, and I really just wasn't physically prepared. I mean, it wasn't my fault. Like, I've come so far now. I think in Kota I was probably one of the most physically prepared. I had no issues with the heat and no issues with my arms. So I think it was just preparation. Like, I came into that track and I had nothing that I could do. I went round, and turn 3, as you know, it's very banked, so I just struggled to be able to hold the steering wheel, and it was just quite painful going around basically knowing that there was nothing that I could do to change it. I was losing 7/10 in one corner, and the rest of the track I was losing like 2/10, so I could have been in the top 5. It's just, it's a shame how those things can happen to you, and you feel kind of hopeless in those moments, because, as I said, there's nothing that you can do. And I would love to go back there and redeem myself, because I really enjoyed the other bits of the track. And I want to go back there and go smash it, really.
Ida_S 1101 wants to know a bit more about your karting career.
Yeah, sure. So I started karting when I was 6 years old. We had to take 2 years off when I turned 8, because basically my brother and sister were just born, and it was very crazy around the house, let's just say that. So I took those 2 years off. Obviously it was a bit annoying, because it put me quite on the back foot for the rest of my karting career. I basically lost out on 2 years of testing or practice, you could say. But I went back when I was about 11, and we did a couple years in like my local club area. So it was called Lid Kart Circuit, and we basically did the championship there. I think we came second in the Winter Series. And then in 2020, it was my first season in the British Kart Championships in Minimax, and I did pretty well, I think, for having literally no testing. I just turn up to the competition and expect to basically learn the track on the weekend. So finished 9th, which is a seeded position, which is fantastic, I think, in my first season. And then in 2021, I moved on to junior Rotax in the British Championships. It was a bit harder, again, because I was always on the back foot with literally no testing. I think there were some people in that series that were spending 4 to 5 times the amount that we were spending, and basically that's quite unmanageable and something that we can't control on our side. So we went through that. We learned a lot, and in 2022, I think big results started to come in, and the pace really showed. I think one of my strengths was actually in the rain. I really, really enjoyed the wet weather, and basically adapting to different conditions. I find that really good, and probably a strong point for me. One of my best memories in karting is actually going from 23rd to 4th in the space of 8 minutes, which I still can't believe I did that. But the rain started coming down, and we were just on it straight away with the pace, really. And then 2023 is basically when my karting career ended. I did a race in January, and that was my last ever race, but I qualified in 6th in my first ever time in a senior category. So I think we ended the karting career on a high, and
Boo Berry Boba says, what is your favourite song to pump yourself up before races?
Oh, I have like a playlist. I'm gonna get it up right now, and I'm gonna tell you what song stands out to me right now, because it is a different song every time. But I'll let you know which one is my what's it called, my it's my Kota song. Because every race, I feel like I have a different song that pumps me up. Like I just find it because I have a pre-race playlist. Okay, so I'd say for Kota, I had like 3. The first one would be "Show Me Love," the EDX remix by Sam Felt. The next one would be "Time of Our Lives" by Pitbull, and the next one after that is "Life in the Fast Lane" by Eagles.
Very good choices there. Lexi Orozco says, was there a specific moment during your racing when you felt you made it in motorsport?
Definitely at the FTA selection. I think that really, opened up my understanding of what my potential was. Obviously it was my first time in a car, first time racing, and there was so much pressure from FDA, I guess, on myself because I really wanted to do well. But I think we had a great time there. I learned a lot, and the pace was superb. I'd just say that, like, to be very, very close to the girl that won, is a big thing, especially coming from a year less of experience and in a new car too. So I was super proud of that, and it really made me think that, if this is what the standard is, then I can, definitely surpass what I thought that I could, and make it quite big in motorsport if I just keep pushing and get the right testing.
Love 13114 says, which Asian country are you looking forward to the most for next year?
Oh, well, first of all, it's not confirmed if I'll race in F1 Academy next year. I'll put that out there right now. Can't tell you what I'm going to race, and even if I did know, I wouldn't be allowed to tell you yet. But I think in F1 Academy, the race that looks the most exciting, I would say for me, is Singapore, just because it's a street circuit, it's iconic, and I think it's very different to any other track out there. I also think Jeddah will be quite cool, but we'll see. I'm not too sure about my plans for next season, and we're trying to get basically the best program we can together, focused on development, and we'll see what happens from that.
It's a general knowledge quiz. There's 9 questions, and you have to name a track.
Let's see.
What is the longest British circuit?
Silverstone.
Correct.
Yeah.
At the 2008 Turkish Grand Prix, what record did Rubens Barrichello break, which has since been broken by Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso?
It's something to do with age or experience. You said Kimi Raikkonen and Fernando Alonso.
And Rubens Barrichello as well.
Rubens Barrichello. Is it just longest time spent in F1?
Most race starts.
Does that count though? Like longest time?
Half.
Okay, fine.
What team was Jenson Button driving for when he won his title in 2000? Yes, I'm so excited for the documentary about that. Like, cannot wait. What record does Nico Hulkenberg hold as of like December 2020?
Oh yeah, I saw this. I saw this just a second ago. Oh, he is.
I think Lando Norris is in contention.
Yeah, he's the driver who spent the most has like most race starts. Like I don't know how to split. It's most race starts without a race win. Does that make sense?
If it's not a race win, but it's still
A podium?
Yeah.
Without podium.
It was 179 in December 2020 when these questions were written, but
Okay.
obviously it's more now.
Yeah, much more.
Which team won both the F2 and F3 championships in 2020?
Prima.
Correct.
Yes.
How many titles did Fangio win?
Wee. 4?
I'll give you half a point. 5.
Oh, it's close.
51, 54, 55, 56, and 57.
I knew it was like a fair amount because I know the name.
Which 3 races make up the Triple Crown of motorsport?
Monaco. Triple Crown. Monaco. Silverstone. Really?
The next 2 aren't in F1, and they're both
Oh, right. What's it called? MotoGP.
It's within.
Oh, TT. No. Okay. Triple Crown.
One's like so long, and the other one's like
long.
Yeah.
Le Mans and Indy 500.
Correct.
Yes.
Do you know who the only driver to ever win it was?
Only driver to ever win it. No.
Graham Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
How interesting.
How long is the Nürburgring Nordschleife?
Of course Bart would know this. I think it's like 5.847 or something like that. Is it longer? 6.8.
Way more.
Oh shit. Is it like 11?
I'll give you half a point. 14.2 miles.
Yeah.
I would love to drive that. It seems so fun.
Yeah, it does. I mean, I wouldn't like to race there, but I think I would like to, experience it.
Like, get a Ferrari and just go.
Exactly.
Do you know who holds the record for the most amount of times between race wins?
Ooh. Like, is it someone that's currently racing F1?
No, but his son races in the Fanatec World GT sprint thing.
Right, I see. His son. Who has a son that races?
He's got a pretty cool last name, to be fair.
I've got no clue.
Riccardo Patrese, his son is called Lorenzo.
Yeah, now I remember the name. I didn't know that he raced in F1.
2,402 days between the 1983 South African Grand Prix and the Imola 1990. How many teams competed in the 2005 US Grand Prix? It was significant for a reason.
For a low reason or a high reason?
Basically something just went horribly wrong, and a lot of people were like, no, it's too dangerous.
Okay, I see. 2.
I'll give you half a point because it was 3. Actually, no, I'll give you a point because I'm
Yes.
Yeah, because Ralph Schumacher, basically the tyres kept exploding and he crashed.
Oh yeah, I've heard about the tyre thing, but I didn't know it was like the US GP. That's interesting.
It was at Indianapolis.
All right.
Can you name this track?
That's easy. That's Kota.
Correct. 8.5, second highest score. How do you feel?
With a little bit of help. But I mean, technically, I was very close to a lot of them. I had the right idea.
Yeah.
I think because of my age, I get the extra point.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for watching this week's episode of the Avoid the Tyrewall podcast, and thank you to Chloe for doing this interview. See you next week. Bye.